You are not your emotions. This is video 2 on the series of letting go of that which you are not. And the important thing, this really is coming from an understanding both as a holistic healer and as somebody who studies psychology. If you guys hear noise in the background, I'm next to the bathroom, so you're gonna hear water running right now because my wife is showering. But anyways, emotions play a dual role in one's life. The way that I've seen it, for example, is through disease. For example, chronic illness. A lot of people who I've found that a lot of diseases come from the astral body, and the astral body is where emotions stem from. And when it comes from psychology, emotions are important because they are what help us in processing what's going on at a subconscious level. They help us understand and they give us information about what's going on underneath the surface. So, understanding your emotions primarily is going to be the key to letting go of your emotions, because the more you recognize or understand what your emotions are, uh, the easier it becomes to use them as a weapon for expression. So, the first thing that I understood when dealing with emotions was that they are meant to help you. They are basically information. Just like when you get a pain signal from your physical body, your emotions are a, a emotional signal from your astral body. And so it's just information. And we get caught up so much by emotions. We do stupid things because of emotions. But when we understand that emotions are just information coming from a deeper place within us, then we can learn how to use that information for our best interest, for our best lives. And so really it comes down to developing emotional intelligence. You don't need to be a genius to be emotionally intelligent. It just means you learning how to interpret information, how to understand what's going on within you. And the reason I say that you are not your emotions is because I quickly understood that I quickly noticed that once I started to understand my emotions, it became a lot easier to detach from them. And I would often read philosophy, and there would be various discussions on the importance of not letting yourself be overwhelmed by emotions, but not letting yourself be driven by emotions. Because once you, for example, act based on an emotion, you in a way have already lost. For example, anger or sadness. When you do something because you are sad or because you are angry, almost at an unconscious level, it leads to, I could say, just to put in simplest terms, negative karma. So the point is to learn how to hold space for the emotion and allow it to exist and be understood, and then express it in a way that is suitable for the situation and for yourself. And so me saying you're not your emotions isn't supposed to be a huge realization. I think the biggest one that people really like to think about is you're not your thoughts. But you're not your emotions, it takes a little more work to understand that. It's a lot more, um, I think, it's a lot more tactile, I want to say. It's a lot more immersive because people aren't used to being able to observe their emotions. People aren't used to giving space after an emotion has arisen. So just the simple fact of knowing that you can do that, that you can watch your emotions as they're happening, that will allow you to let go of your attachment to your emotions. And I think the biggest thing that I see is a constant just instinct. I feel like, from my understanding, that emotions come from instinct or from a much more primal nature. At the highest level, the highest frequency would be love. But love is not emotional. Love is not romantic. True love is peaceful. It's still. It's all encompassing. So when you understand that your highest self, that the true self within you is just pure love, you understand that anything that is not that is not really you. So any emotion, whether it be negative or maybe on the other end of the spectrum, super positive, um, if you think that those things are you, you will be living a life chasing the ups and downs. But when you understand that you are not those things, you can live a life that is more consistent. You can live a life where you are not affected by circumstances. And that's the goal here, for you to understand that you can supersede the situations around you by superseding your emotions. And and that word of superseding, it can be analogous to the word of transcend. So you can transcend your emotions. But something that is very important, that is vital for your understanding, and this is what a lot of spiritual people don't understand, is you can supersede, but you also must include. So transcend and include. And this is something that I took from Ken Wilber. But you cannot truly say that you've transcended unless you can include the characteristics of the past. So for me to transcend anger means to rise above it and not be influenced by it, but be able to give that anger the space that it needs and express it in the way that it needs to be done so. Because one thing that I've learned is that true intelligence comes from being able to manage the different bodies that we have, or the different vehicles of guidance that we have. For example, thoughts are a part of the mental body, while emotions are a part of the astral body. And learning how to navigate these different bodies is really the challenge here. The challenge for all mankind, the challenge for all mankind. And the path here to reaching a state of the highest self, reaching that state, reaching that authentic expression. Something that I have found was, of course, if you start meditating, this will become a lot easier, and you will you'll understand you'll understand a lot more what I'm saying. But the goal is equanimity. What I know that a lot of people get caught up, especially when they're starting in spirituality, is that they make spirituality an emotional endeavor. It becomes a thing about healing, about letting go of or healing past trauma, and also it becomes a thing about transcendental experiences or mystical experiences. So it's all about the colors, the excitement, the wonder, the awe, and it's beautiful and it's fine. When you awaken, you can see you awaken to the powers or the potentials that exist. But if you cannot go through that with a sense of groundedness, a sense of stillness and equanimity, you will get lost very quickly. And what often happens is people get so caught up in the astral realm, this emotional space of healing, that they never really make any true progress towards enlightenment, where they're feeling like they can actually be of service to people. That's the goal here. So I want to, if you're just beginning your journey, I want you to understand that first, focus on achieving equanimity, focus on learning how to observe and be detached, and focus on learning how to take in information that's coming from within you, and asking yourself constantly, what is the best way to express this? What is the best way to navigate or integrate this information from these various vehicles, whether they be the astral body, the physical body, the mental body, or even causal body being the soul, how can I integrate all of these things together to create something that's coherent and harmonious? That's the question that needs to be asked. Sorry, I thought somebody was gonna come in. That's the question that needs to be asked, okay? And you must first start to realize that you're not your emotions, and then the next thing you need to realize, or the next thing you need to watch for, is to not get caught up in the astral realm, not get caught up in the colors and the emotions. Don't get so caught up in, if you're like an awakening your third eye, avoid that. Right? Like I'm telling you, you need to avoid those things. Don't get caught up in healing your trauma. I say focus on development of yourself, development of the mind, development of the astral body, development of your alignment, development of yourself, so that you become more aligned to your higher self. So it becomes a thing of practice, of discipline, of sitting down, journaling your thoughts, journaling your emotions, and then also learning to communicate, and not doing so in a way where you're driven by the emotion itself, but you're driven by a sense of compassion or stillness or equanimity, and you're channeling those emotions in a way that is harmonious for yourself and for those around you. So those are the main points I wanted to hit. Understanding that you are not your emotions, understanding that your emotions, that to get to that place of understanding, it requires you to practice, to understand your emotions, to see them as information that can, and pieces of information of a much larger whole, and understanding that you as a human being must learn how to integrate the various pieces of information that are coming to you so that you can express yourself in a way that is most in alignment with your highest self. That is it. Thank you.